Hi everyone, and welcome to a Kuta worksheet tutorial. We are doing a long division today. So there's two different ways to do long division. I'm going to show you in this video the regular way, kind of the long division you grew up doing with just regular whole numbers. And then in part two, I'm going to show you how to use it with synthetic division. Let's go ahead and get started. Here we have right here our first polynomial, m to the third minus 6m squared minus 16m plus 63. Now, if you want like a detailed step-by-step with this, I have another video on how to do that. It's I think it's called 7.5 or no 4.5 notes for advanced topics if you want to check that out. But here I'm just going to show how to get right into it and kind of explain as I go along. So the first thing you'll notice, you have to have each one of these degrees represented in both of these polynomials. So you see here, what do I mean by that? Well, you see here we have a descending order of degrees. We have m to the first, m to the 0 power, okay? So we're good with the dividend. I think that's what you call it. I never remember the name. And then here we have 3, 2, 1, and then m0. So that's a good thing. You need to have each one of those when you do this division. If you're missing, for example, m squared, okay, you can't just write m cubed minus 16m plus 63. Like, for example, if that was the original problem, this wasn't there, and that was the original problem, you would need a placeholder and write it like this, 0m squared. Even though it's the same thing as 0, you need that placeholder so that you can do the division. But that's not the case here. We have negative 6m squared, so we can go ahead and do this. Now, the leading coefficient is really the key to these problems. So we're looking here at the leading term. Sorry, the leading term is what you're looking at. So how much does m, okay, we don't really care about the minus 7. We're going to use him, but we don't care about him right now. How much does this m go into this m cubed? And it goes in m squared times. Why does that work? Because m times m squared equals m cubed, okay? So that's how we got m cubed. Now, what you do is, just like normal division, when you do like, I don't know, 100 divided by, let's say, 15, we say, okay, 15 goes into 10 6 times, and then you do 15 times 6, to get what that is. And that's 30, and then you get 90, okay? So that's, you do 15 times that 6, 15 times 6, and then that number goes there. Well, we did m minus 7 times m squared, and we're going to put that number right here, okay? So it's the same process as this type of long division, but it's just with polynomials and variables, etc., okay? So m minus 7 times m squared, we are going to get m cubed minus 7m squared, okay? Now, when you're doing long division, even with whole numbers, like I've been saying, just as a form of reference, we subtract the result after we multiply this times how many times it went into, okay? The factors. So I need to do this subtraction. So I do m cubed minus m cubed, and I get 0. That's the whole point, to get that. And then negative 6m squared minus a negative 7m squared, I get a positive 1m squared. Okay, I can erase the 0. So if you're wanting to see the 0, I'm erasing it. Okay, and now what I'm going to do is I drop down. I drop down the next term right here. So I get negative 16m. Now I'm going to repeat this process. I look here and I say, okay, how much does m go into 1m squared? And it goes in positive 1m times. Well, I need to multiply m minus 7 now times that 1m, or just m. I don't need that 1. And I'm going to write that result right beneath my other one that I had. Oops, I want it like this. So I distribute, I get m squared minus 7m. Okay, and what I'm doing is I'm subtracting that and writing the result. So I get 1m squared minus m squared. That's the same thing as 0. I don't need to write anything. but there it is, just in case. Negative 16m squared minus a negative 7m gives me positive 9m. Nope, false, negative 9m. Okay, and then again, we're going to drop down. I should have kept this in dark blue. Style dark blue. And then I'm going to drop down the 63 right here. So that's plus 63. I'm only concerned with the leading term, the negative 9m, and I'm going to see how much does this m go into that. Let me clean up this workspace a little dirty. I hope this was helpful, that you guys you got some value out of it. But this is going to be negative 9, oops, sorry, wrong color. Negative 9m. In order to get m times what gives me negative 9m, that is, whoops, just negative 9, sorry. Good thing I double checked it. So m times negative 9 gives me negative 9m. That's why I wrote that there. Okay. And then what I need to do is I need to write the result like I've been doing. M minus 7 times that 9. Okay. And I'm going to write that here, and that is a negative 9m. You should be canceling out this first term every time. Okay, when you multiply this, you should be getting that first term every time. So actually, that's a negative 9. I didn't write it correctly. Negative 9. Okay. So I get negative 9m, and then I get a positive 63. This one's actually pretty cool because when I subtract, I get 0, and then I get 63 minus 63, and that gives me 0. And that's my remainder. Anything at the end that you can't drop down but you have numbers left over is going to be your remainder. In this case, our remainder is 0. So remainder, 0. And when you have a remainder 0, that means it's a perfect factor. That means if you multiply this times this, you're simply going to get the big polynomial. Our final answer, therefore, is what I'm going to highlight here in purple. This is our final answer. M squared plus m minus 9 is what we get when we divide those two polynomials. So I'm going to circle my answer and just leave that circled. Okay, so I'll write it again just so it's a little bit more obvious. M squared plus m minus 9. Okay, and there's our answer. What does that mean? If we multiply this, m squared plus m minus 9 times m minus 7, you're going to get your answer under here. And I'll do that real quick, actually, just so you can see that. These are kind of long problems, but it's worth it for this. So we're going to distribute that 3 times. We get m cubed plus m squared minus 9m. And then we're going to go from underneath and do this one here 3 times. We get negative 7m squared minus 7m and then plus 63. I'm going to write my final answer in red after I combine some like terms. There are like terms. That's going to be negative 6m squared. There I have like terms. That gives me minus 16m, and then plus 63 stays, and then the m cubed stays. And it looks like that is exactly what I got from what I started with. So you see, you can check your answer at the end, especially with remainders of 0, to see if you did it correctly. In this case, we did. Stay tuned for my next video when I talk about synthetic division, which is another way to divide that's just a little bit quicker using the zeros of the function or the polynomial. Stay tuned. Thanks for watching.